like now.
My name is Meshack Mbokota. I'm a gynaecologist from South Africa and Pretoria. I needed formal training in a structured manner that deals with aesthetic gynecology. And because I'm in South Africa and bulk of our training is European based, I found it easier to go with ISAC. I think the techniques for doing vaginal tightening with perineal repair, we've been doing it differently in the past, and the techniques that I've learned here will make it very easier for me because we do have a lot of those cases back home. Basically already started putting up offices, setting up procedure rooms.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hi hlangana kambe madyamba siku ri namuntlha Afrika-Dzonga ri perile na yi lembe rintshwa va ka hino hlangana ndlela leyiwani vhele nakambe eka the health talk DJ Brian na Dr Mbokota hi hlangana hi ndlela leyiwani Afrika-Dzonga ku karhi ku ri awara ya nhungu se yi hundze hi minete hi ndlela yaleyo Afrika-Dzonga kasi ke hi ndlela leyiwani hi ta ka n'wina ka ri ku ri lembe lerintshwa ka n'wina ni ko sungula eka lembe ra 2022 ya i khale ni nga swi twa marito lama loko ni twa xinavetiso xa dokodela ni kha ni ta va vaginal tightening i khale munhu a nga ha swi vitani leswiya swi ta za swi ni lahlekela dokodela hi laha va kona dokodela hi nge ni va lunghisa kahle ni va kwa hoxa kun'wana kwala ku na ku va nga fiki swi nge endleki va nga fiki dokodela kusuka le va nga kona hi lava baf wa va vo dokodela a vi swi cinca phela kasi a hi tlhandlametangi lembe
Well, in 2022, well, namuhla plus it's an interesting day.
yeah
2222.
yes yeah very interesting
Yeah, but also it's one of the days that 40. It's exactly 40 days after Christmas.
after
Yeah.
i mani a hlayelelaku masiku after Christmas
Because there's always something. There's like today it's either it's called the feast of the purification of Mary, or the feast of the presentation of Jesus. So this is the day that is 40 days after Jesus was born. That's when he was presented to the temple,
oh
because he needed to be presented by both his parents. But according to Jewish law, his mother could not go there before 40 days. According to Leviticus 12, she needed to be isolated for 40 days, and only then could she participate in things that are public after the birth of a child, of a
yeah
son.
yeah
So this is the day that the Christian calendar celebrates her purification, and also the day that Jesus then arrived in the temple for the first time as a quiet child. No noise, no thunder or anything else, but there were two people in that church in that temple,
yeah
who knew as soon as he walked in who he was.
andla yini o va na ndzilo ehenhla ka yena o vangama ngopfu kumbexana
No, they just knew. It had been revealed to them, and they just knew. So Simeon went there, held the child, and spoke, and then said to God, "Now I can go, because I've now seen the Savior."
wow
There was an old lady there who had been a widow. She had only been with her husband for 7 years, and now she was 84 years old. I think her name was Anna, and she also was one of those who then saw who this is the Savior. So, yeah, we start the year with that in the back at the back of our minds. But more importantly, we hope people are not regretting what they did in December.
ni la ku ta kwalani doka ku ri swi tele swi humelelaka hi December man van'wani va pfuka ka tlhelo ka munhu loyi va nga n'wi tiveki ku ri and then ni fike njhani la mara September yi ta fika musaneri
hawa ni ri swi tikomba hi September hinkwaswo swi ta a ni ri u swi tivi va ri lundza ri ta vonaka
va vula lundza va tiva dokodela masivi ya n'wina la
problem ya ku lundza ra ku ri vonaka ka munhu wun'we
nhlayo kun'wani
va nga ri vonaki
va karhi va komba ku ri tiko rero loko n'wana lowa jaha o tshova nenge ntombi leyi hinkwavo ka vona hi vumbirhi ka vona a va yi xikolweni a wu nge le Tanzania va ku a va ha pfumeli ku ri loko ri ku hi wena swi tiyisisiwa ku ri Brian u tshove Zanele nenge mi tshama hinkwenu xikolweni ku kondza n'wana kula no ku ya kumbe mandlela mantshwa ta pfuna kambe doc hi nge tshami karhi vulavula nchumu wun'we lembe na lembe karhi hi tsundzuxa vanhu ku ri hi December ku onhaka swilo swo tala kambe swi tikomba onge ha ta ya mahlweni hi tsundzuxa vanhu mhaka muxaka lolo ngopfungopfu loko u languta ku ri va kona lava va nga hi languta madyambu lama va karhi va ku Khazamula man n'wana u ri Makhanani man hi ta tshama karhi vulavula ngoma leyi
futhi i tshamele maxelo a swi cinci hi ku a ni ri loko swi nga swi humeleliwe ku ri me swi nge ni humeleli loko se swi ku humelela it's why me so vo tala they will find out now loko va fanele va ya xikolweni ku unfortunately period a yi tanga at least maybe va lava va antswa hikuva ni rin'wana va ta n'wi kuma va khomisa mhani va continue na xikolo but van'wani they can pick up mavabyi ya masangu and lerikulu ra ku HIV va ta ku swi yini
va khomisa mhani
you can't donate it
okay
and ku na mavabyi ya lawa ya masangu lawa hi nge you may not have the symptoms now you may not see anything now mara ku famba ka nkarhi slowly but surely it's damaging your tubes and then come nkarhi lowu se u lava ku kuma vana swa ala va ri machupu ya blokekile and masiku lawa ni ri we've said it before ku operation ya ku pfula machupu kahle it's success rate ya ku it's less than 30%. So
yane yi le hansi ngopfu rate yaleyo
hi ku xitsongo xexo va nga yi chupa ni ri ku loko ku ve ku wa ri vona leswiwani rumbu ra huku it's almost at maybe half
yeah
rumbu ra huku so it's small
so are we saying ku ri swiandla swin'wana swa swilo leswi tanihi vantshwa hi swi endlaka vuton'wini doc swi hetelela swi hi kavanyeta ka swin'wana hi xa mundzuku ni vula ku ri loko ku ri ku fanele ku va ku endliwa vuhandzuri byebyo that kind of an op ka tube yaleyo small as it is but then it's affecting the bigger picture laniwani
and it starts from most of the time from a one night stand or from a decision that was made a person angari completely conscious. Aneri loko vanwa sweswa mhloti ya queen conscious mind ya famba nyana. That's why u kuma ku lava yimbelelaku va yimbelela va ha ri na tingana na lava chava ku gangisa va gangisa tingana ta ha ri kona se that's why ku van'wani va pfuka lava nga ku tiveku hi ku conscious mind a yi kona. So but that one era yi na a ripple effect ya vutomi bya munhu, a ripple effect. So from that one era of judgment leyi the first decision uka yendla is to take what alters your conscious state, your consciousness, and then the rest follows. So yes, to get a sexually transmitted infection simply because munhu u rivele u tirhisa condom kumbe nkarhi walowo a yi nga ri kona and then mundzuku ku na a discharge va chava ku ya hi ku madokodela ya pfarile khisimusi and the next thing is the next thing ku ninge clinic va sister va ta ni holovela and it continues and continues. So in January it's worse.
Yo.
So that is if it's a sexually transmitted infection. Magata pregnancy, well, and then I think the conclusion becomes very clear. But the problems, the impact, your life then changes from there onwards. Because again, you may be irrational and make rash decisions only to regret them later on.
And doc, hi vula hinkwaswo leswi mhaka swa ku ri hi wona nkarhi lowu vanhu va tshama kahle va tiyingisela va tlhela futhi va tlanga table ya futhi va ku kambe ku endleke yini hi December hi yo mhaka vhele namuntlha ni tshemba ku mi hi tlhantlhela mhaka leyi leswi mi swi vekisaka xiswona hi ndlela leyi ka n'hweti leyi nga hundza a ku ri n'hweti ya ku lemukisa vanhu hi timhaka ta mfukuzani ya vele kumbe kantsongo nyana hi nga siya mavhengeleni hi timinete timbirhi doc kambe kwalani ku na swin'wana ni nga swi vona ka page ya n'wina ni le ka ti-social media ta n'wina swin'wana leswi na mani nga swi tivi kumbe a ni nga swi tekeli enhlokweni mi nga hi tsundzuxa yini xihatla doc?
No, a ku ri va ku tsundzuka ku cancer ya nomo wa xivelekelo.
Oh yes, yeah.
Ku cancer ya nomo wa xivelekelo, it actually can be almost defeated if almost maybe 70 to 80% of women could be vaccinated against HPV.
Oh, kuna vaccine ya HPV?
Yes.
Vaccine leti khale ti ri kona doc?
The vaccine khale ti ri kona. And the HPV, vo mani vo tala, they will probably know they are 9-year-old girls in the public school system kusukela in 2009 when Dr Mbokota became Minister of Health. Yeah. That vaccine became available.
Hey,
but obviously you need that permission ya mutswari.
Did anyone or vana lava buy tekile?
Yeah, majority have taken it. But obviously, as I say, there was no effort at the moment. It needs permission ya mutswari. Loko mutswari ala then they don't take it. It's just that look, so we take a number 25, it may be too late because that virus is never say kuphatsa miri pur khale.
Kambe ku vaccinate wa in la doc loko hi vulavula mhaka ya vaccine ya HPV?
Right. HPV, it's a virus leyi vitana ku human papilloma virus.
Yeah.
Kuna ti-type to tala and vanhu van'wana the easiest thing leswi u nga swi tsundzuka ku i vanhu lava nga na ti-warts kumbe tintsumba ti vangiwa hi that virus.
Oh.
So you can get tintsumba teto on the skin, you can get them in the throat. Munhu wo fana na will mention because anga ha ri kona emsebeni Louis Armstrong. People thought his voice was hoarse, but I vangiwa hi swona in the throat. So kuna HPV leyi then yi affecta ku swilo swa xisati or the genitalia, both male and female. Now it has been shown many times laha kumaku ku ri na cancer nomo wa xivelekelo.
Yeah.
That virus yi va yi ri kona. Now they don't know ku yi ta when the cancer is there or yo yi sungula ku this cancer, but research has shown over the years there's 3 types ya tona, 16, 33 and 35 leti ti tshama ku ti kumeka la ka nomo wa xivelekelo loko ri na cancer.
Yeah. And
it's been shown ku loko yi susiwa the changes leti va kota ka nomo wa xivelekelo leti nga va ku cancer ta nyamalala. So if you remember hi te loko u endla pap smear for example ku chekiwa la ka nomo wa xivelekelo ku hava ti-changes ka ti-cells la ka nomo wa xivelekelo leti hi tiva ku after some time loko to ka ku nga endliwi nchumu hi tona ti nga cinca ti va cancer. So loko ho kuma ku ri na HPV ivi hi treat cells letiya ti tlhela ti vuyela ndzhaku ti va normal. Mara loko if you don't treat the HPV, those cells continue to change ti hela ti move ti ya ka cancer. So that's the reason why if you can vaccinate as many women as possible against HPV, we can be able to bring down this thing here, cancer ya normal xibelekelo. The unfortunate part here, this cancer normal xibelekelo, it affects mainly black women, a younger age of black women. It kills more black women.
Yo.
And unfortunately, it's also related to one, the number of children they give birth to, two, the earlier they start sexual intercourse, the more likely that they'll get cancer normal xibelekelo. Three, if they have more than one sexual partner. Now, we're not talking about a sexual partner concurrently. Ibulabula a sexual partner. Namunhla imagez.
Yeah.
2 years or 6 months down the line, Brian. After a while, kuchinchwa kuiwa iwunwana now njalo njalo. So they don't need to be. So it's basically related na sexual history ya munhu. So the more partners they've had, the more likely that they will get cancer of the cervix. And that's why ukumaku common ngopfu ka lava sungulaka timhaka ta masangu va ha ri vatsongo. The earlier they start, the more likely.
Now, I get worried loko muku yi tele ngopfu ka vanhu va ntimeni. And then after Maku explain sweswo swa Khazamula na Brian na Mbokota, swi swa nchavisa. Swi vula yini sweswo dokotela loko mi lava ku kongoma loko ri ku this HPV yi hlupha va ka ntimeni ivi tlhela futhi mi hlamusela mhaka ya matumbulukelo ya yona, swi swa nchavisa.
Look, effectively, it's a sexually transmitted infection.
Yeah.
So, if this wo karhi a hlangana na munhu wo karhi wa xinuna, loko ku ri na HPV ka one of them yi ta tshama ka wun'wana, lowun'wana a hlangana na wun'wana, the HPV moves to the next one, you move to the next one, njalo njalo.
Yeah.
Now, if you couple that with a young lady loyi a sungulaku timhaka ta masangu a ha ri ntsongo, a va exposed ka HPV leyi nga ka magezi namuntlha, 6 months down the line i type yin'wana ya HPV, because yi na ti-type to tala ni vanhu va hlamala ti-variants ta COVID. Well, HPV has got close to 35 to 60 types.
So, Doc, are we saying we are not teaching our black child enough hi mhaka ya timhaka ta masangu kumbexana loko ri ku hi kunenenene hi vula ku ri it's about yi tele ngopfu ka timhakeni ta va ka ntimeni?
Well, if you think about it, if people abstain and they get married and they remain with one partner, then it's unlikely to spread.
Yeah.
Fana HIV. But as black people, we have delegated sexuality education to a teacher at school. And then the teacher at Johnson school teacher but you don't want to talk about it. So what do the children do? They go and experiment.
Yeah.
But if you're delegated to a teacher, then let the teacher teach. But if the teacher goes and teaches what is not within your belief, you can't blame him because you've delegated it.
And you just mentioned the word belief. Does culture has anything to do with this whole HPV? And I say babla HPV na mutabona doctor.
Well, not necessarily, but because it's a sexually transmitted disease. Now, there are certain customs and there are certain things that are called culture, and I'm saying they are called culture. They may not necessarily be cultural, and some of them may not necessarily be traditional. Some of them imikuba,
yeah,
which have aided the spread of specific sexually transmitted infections. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I worked in some mine hospital. I was still young. To be precise, I was still a student. I think it was 1990, if not 89. And what shocked me was that Monday morning at clinic ya le mine, a ku ri na queue ya vavanuna va meet le va ta ku tlhaveni penicillin hi ku va na drop. Mara vavanuna lava va tshama hostele a mayini va siye miti a Giyani, Phalaborwa, Mozambique hinkwako.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you think about it, that's how HIV spread so quickly. So, look, HPV, a sexually transmitted infection, it will spread just as quickly.
Doc, who is responsible between this girl and this boy to say, let's use protection? It sounds like Garunganyane if he lava ku nyika vutihlamuleri ka wa xinuna kumbe Garunganyane jikijiki la ku nyika vutihlamuleri ka wa xisati kumbe ka ntombi leyi I vutihlamuleri bya mani Doc ka lava mbirhi ku va swa ku hetela ku tirhisiwa mhaka ya ku tisirhelela?
Look, you've said it earlier on, in some country, it probably will be Uganda. Just sounds like Uganda.
Yeah, in fact, it's Uganda.
It's probably Uganda.
In fact, it is Uganda.
That's the thinking, Museveni.
Yeah. Yeah. You are right, actually.
That's his thinking, right? They then take, if a boy makes a girl pregnant, both of them go out of school. Now, I'm not saying it's correct, but they're saying the boy must take responsibility. Why should the girl suffer on her own when she was not alone when intercourse took place? She didn't fall pregnant by herself.
Yeah.
But what have we done? What do we do? What do you teach your daughter and what do you teach your son? Because if you tell your daughter that she must protect herself and you don't tell your son to respect the girl, you haven't done anything. You've just perpetuating the same patriarchal system that puts the responsibility on a woman. Somebody made a simple example. Sometimes people, when there's been an issue of rape, they blame women are not dressed properly, right?
Yeah.
Well, Kale Nale Makaya, what maidens used to wear, they were literally bare-breasted. They were not wearing anything, and nobody raped them. So it has to do with a person making a decision and a person exercising what they think is their power.
Yo.
So the bottom line, Iku, for me, is if you only teach the girl, you leave the perpetrator out, and the perpetrator continues to think it's correct. That's how he wants to express his testosterone and his manhood. When you should be teaching the boy how to express his testosterone and his manhood.
Yeah.
I've always said, and it's been said in many places, that if young men were to harness the energy, the thinking, and the passion that they use to chase a girl into starting and running a business, they will be very, very successful.
Davita Dog. All right, kaske helikar khale tabakare vuya itabakare teka sputsona songa susurumeri ni siboni sputsonga siskona ematimba makulu sinene kaske hetere wano kare vuya kare nkesna wena ngataka nkara ka badampulawa obana ina eka ngolo the health talk DJ Brian Dr Mbokota hitaka wena hendlela le Afrika Dzonga ku fika wa rela nkaye kaske loko hi vuya ihlamula sputsona thela futhi teka nhlokweni lava va nga hi joina madampula ba byeli ku thela futhi u share na maka ya link le ku nga va ku Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube hendlela le vele yi hundisele mahlweni ku ri leswaku vele va swi tiva ku la kunene no ku sungureni ripere sweswo vhele Afrika-Dzonga cancela ku vona hina madambu lawa hi ndlela leyiwani kasi ke yana swivutiso swi nga na sweswi tele swinene ngopfu u nga rivali nakambe ku va ku ri u nga ya ka YouTube ya DJ Brian channel ivi ke u subscribe hi ndlela leyi a ngi cancela ku mi amukeli nakambe xo hina sungula eka lembe ra 2022 hi ndlela leyiwani Afrika-Dzonga kasi ke twana Nonga Maluleke doc una mavonele man'wanyana uri nonga eka timhaka ta vutihlamuleri ka mhakeni ya protection vavasati va ehleketa ku ri loko u kuma ti-condoms ekamareni ra yena u ta n'wi teka somehow mangutwa doc.
Yeah, well, it's a question ya ku we usually say ku people need to understand one thing.
Yeah.
The contraceptives, it helps pregnancy. Condoms is to protect you against infections or sexually transmitted infections. Now, I know then people will say, now if you then use condoms, it means we don't trust each other and so forth and so forth. The bottom line is, you don't know where they've been. After one signature.
Exactly.
And there's no signature. And you will never know whether that person is carrying HPV. There's another question about who's the carrier. The carrier is the one who's been exposed to it before.
Yeah.
So you can never know. So there's no thing about the carrier is female or the carrier is male. You know, unlike Shofana Mala.
Yeah. Kufambegezi doc. Yo, ongufambegezi lava nga kona. Sungandla vele. Sungandla gezi ri fambini. Matimelo lamayani ya tikomba ya ri na ku famba ka gezi ndzeni ka wona ya no ku fanele ku fambe gezi kambe ku na mhaka load shedding sekutani. Alright, a ku na xivutiso xa vuyi Lisbeth Hobson xin'wana lexi a xi tlhandlameta ka lexiya xin'wana xa ku na who is the carrier. Doc matimekelo lamayani ni vona ongi ya na va vona doc mara a ni tshembi ku ri ta kota ku hlangana matimekelo lama ya tikomba onge gezi ri fambini a swi hleketini kasi ke ku na xivutiso xo velani lava ku doctor va xihlamula lava nga si famba hi ndlela ku ri na the cervical cancer or HPV ya siveleka hi ku tirhisa ti-condoms ke a ni lava ku twa ku na va yi hlamurisa ku yini doc mhaka yaleyo kasi ke Teddy u le ka YouTube na khensa swinene ngopfu kwasa ku ri u yi joyinile madambu lawa u nga tlhela futhi u yi kuma ka tipulatifomo to hambanahambana ku katsa na le ka Facebook, Twitter na le ka Twitch xikan'we na le ka Twitter na kwini kambe LinkedIn na le ka LinkedIn va hi ri kona ri perile eka lembe ritshwa doc na DJ Brian emalonga ri na Dzuneko Singi Mama Faith ku endleke yini doc ku fanele ku ri gezi leswiyani hambiswiritano vhele u nga rhumela loko lava xikalavito ne u rhumela swivutiso swa wena ku ni le vhikini njhe kwala xikarhi ka vhiki u nga swi rhumela ku va u tirhisa email ya brian@djbrian.co.za kahlekahle loko ya ka YouTube ka YouTube yes yi kona xikan'we na le ka Twitter ya DJ Brian email leyi u yi vonaka layani vhele swi va ku ri loko u yi tirhisa a yi nge ku vuli vito ra wena ku ri i mani a nga vutisa xivutiso xo nge hi ndlela leyo u nga swi endla tano na le ka xikarhi ka vhiki njhe ku va swa ku ri u yi rhumela xivutiso hi ndlela yaleyo kasi ke un'wana nakambe nge ngo tekela nhlokweni i mali ku nga ri na nsuku kulani a ku hayi ku teka ka khapu ya kofi se u vo balekisa dokodela na leswa i load shedding nge ni vona ku ri a va ni rhumelanga hungu ke hi ndlela yaleyo u nga tlhela futhi u ya mahlweni ka ro rhumela swivutiso swa wena hi ndlela yaleyo wena mingiseri no load shedding okay va ri va ta connecta in 2 minutes and 2 minutes ya kona hi leyi n'we a yi mi hluphi load shedding doc n'we mi vuya hi yin'wana xangu
No, generator must kick in first.
Oh yes. Load shedding kasi nkarhi muni 8:30. All
right. So generator must kick in first and then
system yi khoma nyana
because there's no UPS here.
Na swi twisisa doc. Okay, va ta yi khomela tshemba swa twiseka ku ri swin'wana swi le handle ka vulawuri bya hina a va hi byerini mani Mbokota na vona va ri load shedding. Okay doc ku na xivutiso xa vuyi nakambe u vutise ximhaka xivutiso lexani xa ku ri na who is the carrier mi xi hlamurini kambe u vuye hi xivutiso xin'wana ku ri na kahlekahle cervical cancer or HPV ya siveleka hi ku tirhisa condoms?
Well, the thing, if the condoms, then you, like any other sexually transmitted infection, you are able to avoid it,
Oh,
right? Hey, you are able to avoid the infection. In that way, when you avoid that infection, you lessen the risk ya ungakuma cancer of the cervix that is directly due to the HPV. So that's why, in some stage, cancer of the cervix is probably the only cancer that may be sexually transmitted. We not really mean that. We're just saying the HPV itself is sexually transmitted, and you almost always find it like cancer of the cervix.
so doc, can we somehow say ku ri ku na mavabyi ya nhlonge yo karhi ni vula hi ku ya hi tinxaka tirhi va ka ntimeni valungu sweswo swi nga va swi hlayiseke ngopfu ku va munhu a nga vula ku ri ku na mavabyi ya xilungu na ya xintima?
Well, in the past, maybe, because these things have got to do with lifestyle and diet. So 30 years ago, cancer of the breast was unheard of. It was very uncommon bantima.
Yeah.
But these days you find young 30-year-old black women with breast cancer. What has changed? It's lifestyle. Now people have now adopted the lifestyle that used to affect that used to be the one that practiced by white people, why they got that disease. Now you will see, as black people move from having 6 children to having 1 child, but with a number of children, they use more protection and things like that. Cancer of the cervix will also reduce. But for as long as there's poverty, it will be difficult for it to reduce, because I think where there's poverty, people are not sure and therefore they have more. Because
So-
it's a human instinct, or it's a male instinct. I need to have progeny so that for posterity's sake, I'm represented. I will be represented. So
Yeah.
that's why in poor countries and poor areas, the population is high, because people are not sure how long people live. Will these children survive to look after me? So when I've got more, I've got a better chance of 1 or 2 of them surviving. But when I've got 2, hey, it's a problem.
Ish. Yo,
But
na
as soon
me,
as people, when lifestyle yabantu ichinja,
they started to be conscious.
economic circumstances tichinja, they've got access to healthcare, they've got better education and things like that. Suddenly they start reducing family size. And because now bana show ya kulokwana babza ange babzi aloba kule kuchulukeni.
Yeah.
Batangwisa ka dokotela the next day. Futhi abayi at clinic or ka GP, they go to a pediatrician.
Sure. Doc, ve ndlopfu a yi fi hi rimbambu rin'we yi nyumile load shedding. So the health system ya munhu loyi a tshamaka ka matswi na loyi a kumaka vukorhokeri bya mfumo walowun'we, a ni lava ku hambana na ku tirhisa rito ra mfumo mara se hi roho ra mfumo walowun'we, na munhu loyi a tshamaka a Park View loyi a tirhisaka xibedhlele xa mfumo, doc, u kuma vukorhokeri bya ku fana na loyi a ka matswi na loyi a nga le Park View?
Unfortunately, the reality is that abzifani, but it doesn't mean the private healthcare is best. And I'll explain why. You see, all over the world, Cuba is one of the poorest countries in the world. But they've got the best health system in the world, being poor as that. So poverty of a country and lack of resources cannot be an excuse for having a poor health system. The current health system here that we are using, that we have, was engineered to exclude poor black people. and to keep them at such a point where they're only just dependent as they're just healthy enough to be a labor force. Now, if we do not change that system, and that's why the introduction of NHI has to come in, where you do not have to pay for healthcare at the point of service, meaning la ufika ku ubona dokotela kona kumbe a clinic ungahakeli, somebody else takes care of the payment, then access ya improve. That's the one part ya access, because access to health has got to do with resources. So ususa that issue ya kuwahakela, then the first part ya access is solved. The second part ya access is proximity of the health facility to the person where the person stays. So the hurukule where you find take 2 or 3 wama taxi kufika, access is still not good even if you're not paying. Then the third part ya access ufika are the healthcare professionals in that facility to look after you.
Wow.
So if you can deal with those 3 tiers through a national health insurance system, then you've solved the disparity that exists now. Because the current disparity is so. The country in total, both public and private, in the kitty healthcare, there's probably about 300 billion rands. In that 300 billion rands, about 200 or so is in the private sector. And 150 to 160 or so, it's in the private sector. And the balance here, 140, is in the public sector. But the private sector only looks after 16% of the population. 1/6. And the public service must look after 84%. So, if you take 106 to 180 billion and you look after 16% of the population, you can do the sums. And you take another 140 billion and you look after 84% of the population, then you can understand why when you go to public services, kurehaba swilo.
Yeah, Doc. And you just have to come maybe tomorrow and watch this recording. No, always look blah blah makaleya kuhambana ka public na private sectors. You must see the look on your face, Doc. And I know what it means to you as a person, not as a health practitioner. I know what it means deep down your heart. And that's why I always see that look on your face always. Yo magloza mesongona imagale ana abulicho no yimani mingisel.
Well, I guess it's something that bothers you and something that you pray that
one day
you will be able to resolve one day.
Isusa njhani mihleketo dokotela ya ku ri loko ni ri Brian in Tetani, the community, the people around me already bahleketa ku ri automatically I have to, if I get sick, God forbid, I have to go to a private hospital. Why is that? Why misava iritano yi avanyisa ku ri loko swi teta swa boha I have to be in a private sector, not in a public sector. Loko xibedhlele xexo loko no suka ni khome swin'wana kumbexana.
Well, maybe let's explain what's the difference between the public and the private sector. In South Africa, every doctor that you'll come across has trained in the public service.
Yeah.
The private sector does not train doctors. So the knowledge and the experience that we have comes from the public sector. The reason why people then leave the public sector and go into the private sector, it's because of that shortage of resources. They find it is difficult to make a living and live comfortably whilst working in the public service. That's one. Number two, there's nothing as frustrating, Brian, as going to work and you go and you book people for operations and you go and spend the whole day ulotsama akuna linen.
Ish.
Now you as the doctor have to explain to the patient akuna linen. Lo anga odangi ku linen has got no responsibility to explain to the patient. Lo anga jamali le fane yakela laundry has got no he's not in any contact with the patient to explain. It's you who must explain it. And so people feel, so what's the point? Why am I sitting here earning and yet I'm not doing anything? So people move out into the private sector. Now, so the issue, the perception is that the quality of care is good in the private sector. My argument is that the hotel is good in the private sector because the hospital is both a hotel, which is hospitality, and then healthcare. The hotel is good in the public sector, in the private sector. The hotel is not necessarily good in the public sector. When I'm in a public hospital and I see a patient and there's something I don't understand, my colleague is next door. I ask and we discuss and we agree this is how we're going to treat you. When I'm in private, it's me and me alone.
Yo.
I will treat what I think I'm treating. I think
Yo.
maybe I put it clearer.
Now say that one. Yeah, I know. It's hlokomhaka leyiwani ya dyondzisa swinene. Hi ba mandla vuyelela barule na barule. Vakhensini va yingisele va ri la a Eastern Cape Derek Makhuvele eka siku ra namuntlha. Loko munhu o va na nkateko wo tshunguriwa cervical cancer ivi yi hola, ya swi kota ku tlhela ku va yi vuyake, naswona swi nga va swi vangiwa hi yini dokodela ku va leswaku ri mfukuzani leyi yi vuya?
Okay. You can get immunity against HPV.
Okay.
So ungasawuta against HPV, which is a virus leyi ku yina participates, it takes part ka ku develop ka cancer ya cervix ya noma xibelekelo.
Oh.
But loko cancer ya noma xibelekelo se yi ve ko ivi yi laphiwa, any cancer loko yi lapha depending ka ku hi kuma rini. If you find it ka ha ri early, yi nga si nghenela ka swirho swin'wana, and you remove it, you get cured. So it can't come back. But if we kuma, that's why hi ti nyika ti-stage. So kuna stage 1. So if we kuma ri ka stage 1 ko tala, we operate, you get cured. But loko se yi ya ka vo stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, se yi nghenelele ka swirho swin'wana, hambi u ya susa laha yi nga sungula kona, those abnormal cells have gone rogue, ti tele everywhere else. So u kuma ku munhu waloyo loko hi n'wi treata, we are not doing what we call curative treatment. We call it palliative treatment, meaning we are just giving you treatment for you to have a comfortable life, but kuna leswi that cancer can then go into remission, meaning ya tlela nyana, it can come back anytime.
Yini kumbe doc lexi vonaka xo twala tano ku kahle ku ri onge va ka manana kumbe va xisati vana ku va va ri ka khombo kumbe nhlayo ya le henhla ya vona ya ku va va nga khoma hi ti-cancer to hambanahambana? I yini kasi lexi nga fika xi hambana eka vona va xisati lava na hina va xinuna?
Not necessarily. Ku va ku va xisati are more interested ka rihanyo ra vona, so they go for checkups more regularly. Then these things are picked up. Majority of men who have died in the 70s and 80s, most of them have died from prostate cancer, but they would not have known because they just ignored it. Most men, if something does not affect their ego, their potency, cause erectile dysfunction, they don't really worry about it.
Dog. Serious.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah.
Tell them that you drink this, you mostly take this injection, you're gonna get erectile dysfunction. That's when they stop going to get vaccines.
But if it was the opposite, then everybody was gonna rush
for vaccine.
Yeah. Right, kaske karlo rini dokotela 15 14 sekutan kaske ku karhi khale a vuya rivela xivutiso tintswalo ngomani na yena or u le ku dyondzeni swinene ngopfu ka leswi dokotela va swi hlamuselaka kaske un'wana nakambe rela mkhatshwa u ri it's true dokotela leswi va swi vulaka ha vuya hi teka xivutiso xa wena kumbe swimbirhi hi pfala mhaka u nga rivala ku rhumela eka email ya brian@djbrian.co.za mi nga tsali brain ne tsalani brian mi nga rivala futhi na ku subscribe eka YouTube channel DJ Brian channel in khensa njhani na.
Get peace of mind knowing that your car, house, and business are in good hands. We quote various insurance companies and get you the best quote which is suitable for you and affordable. Save more money, quick, easy, with plain language. We are at 52 Beggar Street, Loitrichat. Call us now for an affordable quotation on 015-516-1296. Morobi Financial Services. You always enjoy peace of mind and authorized financial services provider.
All right. You. Okay, the health talk. DJ Brian na Dr Mbokota. Indele, taka wena vele. Kape mnaru na mutane inaka na mutane 2 February lembra 2022 indele lewane ka sukura na mutafele teka swivutiso leswi swi rhumelaka swi nga khathala ku ri na ka platform yihi ivi ka swi rhumela kota ku skuma ku fana loyi u le ka YouTube hi vona mfungo walowo le tlhelo ku ri u le ka YouTube le ku dyondzeni ka leswi dokotela va nga loko swi byeleni va nga yi byeleni ka sukura na muntlha tintswalo ngomana anga vula swona kasi ke nge vheta teka xivutiso xa vuyi u ri what are the side effects ya HPV vaccination? Okay, ka vana lava ya ka xikolweni va tlhaviwa ka HPV vaccine ne dok va ku ri no a yi onhi swin'wani eka xivelekeleke vutisa xivutiso xo vuyi nakambe ka suka na teka xivutiso xa mongo gift andzaka loko dokotela va hlamule xivutiso lexiwa.
Brian, human papilloma virus, it's a virus leyi yi affectaku munhu yi nga nghena through any mouth kumbe nomo wun'wana na wun'wana. Ku nga va ku ri nomo lowu meni na wehe vulavulaka hi wo sweswi kumbe ka vanhu va xisati nomo lowun'wana ka van'wana it's on the skin. Now
on the skin
vaccine that's why ku ri na vanhu va nga na ti-warts on the skin.
Is it?
Yes. So a vaccine in general, the standard way of doing vaccines or the old standard way, the only two vaccines so far that are different. It's the Pfizer vaccine, which what we call messenger RNA vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna. The vaccines in general, we take a protein from that same virus, by deactivator, and then put it on what we call a vector, which is something that carries it, and then inject it to induce immunity against that particular virus. So what are the side effects? The side effects, you get a bit of a fever as the immunity is induced, and mainly that's really it. Unless one are allergic to some of the ingredients as the fluid that you see carrying the vaccine. Whether it's some of them are tended with egg yolk, some of them tended with egg white, and some of them, unless you have got allergy to those chemicals, you may get an allergic reaction. But other than that, vaccines induce immunity. Like, for example, the vaccine to HPV, there's two types. The one vaccine from a certain company, I'm not going to mention name, you need to have 2 doses. One now, another one 30 days later. Another company, you need 3 doses. One now, a month later, and at 6 months. So that's why why booster vaccine for COVID and whatever. It's nothing new with vaccines and viruses. Then it doesn't go likely to come through, so that when that virus comes, it easily attacks it before the virus attacks the body.
All right.
So that's the real thing about the HPV vaccine.
Kuna loyi a vutisaka hi xihatla ngopfu gift mongo hi n'wi tshembise ku ta n'wi hlamula hi xihatla doc. Are there any signs to identify loko se cancer yi wile hi matimba after remission? Yeah.
So that's why loko munhu a treatiwile cancer hi ku now it's in remission. Come for checkup once a year, and that once a year they do a lot of X-rays and whatever to look for the because cancer, unfortunately, it's a silent killer. By the time you pick up kukuna problem, late. So those annual visits where they will do all these tests are more important to pick it up before you can have symptoms. By the time we had symptoms, bleeding and things like that, it's too late.
Yo. Dawini DJ Brian. Okay. So bla. Umeka hloko maka. Vara avanyiki data. Na ku nyika munhu 100 gig tolo. Na ku nyika munhu 100 gigs tolo. 100. Yeah. Sutan doc. So ini nga xi dyondzaka vhele hi mihle mi khomeni mi khoma mi tshika mi chuka hi mhaka ya leswi hi fanele tikhomisa xiswona ngopfungopfu hi n'hweti leyani ya December ivi January hi leyi xikolo fees hala tlhelo dokodela na ti-uniform na ti-polish na swilo swa durha se ni mafurha ya le henhla aka lungi nchumu fish oil ya durha polish ya ntangu ya durha dokodela ku endleka yini ta lunga mara hi endla yini n'hweti hi leyiwani January
ri January se hi le ka February
vanhu va ha yi twa mara ku ri va ha twa ku vava ku ri January a tshembi ku loyi a nga tsaka ku fika sweswi
well yi ze yi hela so
yeah
the important thing February le ti-results ta matric to humile
yeah
ti-university ti fanele ti pfula I think somewhere in the middle of this month
yeah
and you will see faculty researchers. I know about the faculty research. This year, I register a faculty. Next year, I going one.
Yeah.
Objective, stable, and the problem is simply people have not made up in their own heads what problems they want to solve in the world.
And what causes? And a ni ri na endla documentary yin'wana ku hela ka vhiki karhi ni vulavula hi mhaka ya mintila leyi hi vonaka eswikolweni doc loko karhi hi songasonga hi ndlela leyi mintila leyi hi vonaka ti-queue leti a hi ti vonaka ta ku leha ivi u ti vutisa xivutiso xikulu lexi ni nga ti vutisa xona mina ku ri na n'wana loyi a nga laha ka queue liya hi ku nenenenene u ya teka the course or the subject or career leyi hi ku nenenenene a yi lavaka kumbe u ta fika a teka xin'wana na xin'wana lexi va n'wi nyikaka kwalaha a nga kwalaha layinini hi mhaka swa ku ri u lava ku tikuma a ri xikolweni hi swin'wana leswi nga ni hlupha swinene ngopfu.
Brian, I think the problem is vanhu do not decide what problem do they want to solve in the world.
Yeah.
Loko vo decide ku incini xi ni karhataku and to solve that problem, then they would know ku va fane va nghena xikolo va pasa hi ndlela yihi ku kota ku endla which degree or diploma or certificate. Now, it's always better to pass well and all the universities accept you and you choose which one you want to go to.
Much better.
Because then you are on the front foot. When you are on the back foot, where you have not done well, and you now have to rely on what is available to go to school. And that's where people start doing things just for the sake of doing it. And masukula waneri ilandela bangani. Mngani wami uye ka faculty leyi ngeni yakona mina. And then look achinja na walandelela. So what do they say about if you don't have a vision, you'll follow people everywhere. You'll be when you'll always be led instead of leading. So I think the second thing iku mintirho leyi nga koho sweswi, Brian, in 5 years yi ta va yi nga ha ri kona.
Yeah.
And people are still stuck on traditional subjects. But are still stuck on traditional way of learning and teaching, or traditional way of doing business. There was a telling statement that Becky mentioned a few years ago.
Yeah.
A country's economy can only be run by industrialization. But unfortunately, if everybody does a BA, I end up BA in social science, we can't run factories. You need social science to determine who this person fits the job. You need the industrial psychologist to do that, but you need an engineer to run a factory. You need a process engineer to make sure the production line ya farmer. You need a safety engineer to make sure nobody gets injured there. So you need a civil engineer to make sure the bridge doesn't collapse each time there's rain.
Wow.
And you need a civil engineer to make sure the pothole does not come back. Because that shibazana shingarwala bana ba xikolo shingawa hi mhaka pothole yale. You can't do it when everybody does the arts. So if you see how China does things, and we're told not to listen to them, but they don't look at 5 years, they look at 50 years. They said they want to build 50 cities in the next 50 years, and you know what they've done? They've taken a lot of youngsters into engineering. And then you know where they send them for training? They send them to Africa for training. They will donate Malia Akapatu in the DRC, and then they bring Chinese engineers. That's where they train them.
Or the bridge in
Trained
Mozambique.
properly, they send them back. And he now busy, China. Where are we? We've got the best universities in engineering in this country.
Hi, Doc.
But we can't run a country when all of us want to sing.
That's the thing. Why though?
We can't.
Because it's the easy way out.
No, there was a fashion. There was a time where everybody was doing tourism. Then there was a time when everybody was doing hospitality.
It's time when everybody wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah, it's fashion. Fashion.
And you're right.
So, I mean, so if you think about it, when Medupi Power Station was being built, we had to import welders, the boiler maker. In a country that has got mines, that has got boilers everywhere, we had to import boiler makers. She's really because it's embarrassing. You can't produce a boiler maker in a country of 60 million people.
Makes sense, Doc. Figure taka tava hi va tsundzuxa kwala xikarhi ka vhiki ku ri na tava ya vulavula hi nhlokomhaka kona kambe khensa nakambe n'wina mi langutini madyambu lawa.
Yeah, we'll have it will be interesting. We'll build up. We'll probably start from normal things, how things should function, and then when they go wrong, and go to another topic, how this normally is, and when it goes wrong, and what and deal with the myths about that thing. So we'll probably start with a number of myths that we have to deal with and dispel.
Doc, inkomu swinene nkarhi wa n'wina madyambu lawa na lembe lerintshwa a ri fambi kahle hi ku ya hi leswi mi swi tsakisaka xiswona mi hi khensela na vandyangu hinkwavo. Inkomu swinene, Doc.
Inkomu.
All right, Afrika-Dzonga hi ndlela leyo hi fambisa xileswi mina na wena ha khensa swinene ngopfu u langutile madyambu lawa nongonoko lowu eka siku ra namuntlha vhele ka ri ku hey inkomu swinene ku va ku ri u endle nkarhi u ve na yena nge kumbexani ni nga si famba ni tekela nhlokweni vanhu lavawani ku fana na mani ni sungula le henhla ne hiya no ni nge lungi loko sungula henhla dzuniso single mama faith inkomu tlangelani mbombi inkomu rela mkhatshwa inkomu kasi ke roni miyamba ka majos kese swinene ngopfu mfethu kasi ke prince languta mthombeni inkomu swinene kasi ke mashaba paseka sonia vana kunjhani ni nga ku voni paseka sonia kasi ke n'wana kambe mani bongani mabasa na yena vele nkhensa swinene ngopfu kasi ke n'wana kambe na khihlatswayo inkomu swinene ngopfu tb mbungele ankhensa swinene ngopfu kasi ke mama posh kunjhani mama twins dyson mshengo inkomu swinene kasi ke n'wana kambe mabeni wa le dn awu u kona emabeni na ni nga ku voni da ke ti ku nyika stanya na kwalano n'wana mani wa vona kasi ke muxe ne okay u lahlekerile swi na mhaka okay kasi ke n'wana okay musa kahle musa gift hobzane inkomu swinene ngopfu kosa ku ve na yena madambu lava kasi ke sika ku na vona sithole mafemani jeffrey jesse vuyi elizabeth hobzane kesina swivutiso n'wina sesi kasi ke n'wana kambe mani loko nga ri yena nsukukulani na yena ri na yena madambu lawa kasi ke na n'wina hinkwenu hi nga va na n'wina madambu lawa ka siku ra namuntlha nkhensa kosa ku ri mina ku nongonoko eka siku ra namuntlha the health talk with dj brian na Dr Mbokota hi ta ka wena na vona Madumitega ku voni Madumitega ne ya Madumitega yes hello Madumitega dumela monna mo swina varwana mo ta vandla na yena hi ra mtlhanu Madumitega na madyambu una xitichi misale yona ta vandla na yena kasi ke handle ka swona mina wena mingiseri hi hlangana mindzuku ka radio awara ntlhanu ku fika awara leyani ya nkaya eka Munghana Lonene FM Papama I'm gonna go peace love and happiness. Bye-bye.
Khato Financial Solutions. Instant cash at lower interest rate. Fast and efficient service. Systems are available to ensure professional, cost-effective, and authorized transactions. We are able to do debit check, debit, and POS. We cater for everyone with financial income. We are a solution to your emergency financial requirements. Amongst others, we assist SASSA grants beneficiaries, developmental credit that supports students. We do corporate loans to assist small businesses. Drop us an email, info@katofinancials.co.za. Kato Financial Solutions is a registered credit provider. Get peace of mind knowing that your car, house, and business are in good hands. We quote various insurance companies and get you the best quote which is suitable for you and affordable. Save more money, quick, easy, with plain language. We are at 52 Beggar Street, Loitrichat. Call us now for an affordable quotation on 015-516-1296. Morobi Financial Services. You always enjoy peace of mind and authorized financial services.